Okay, so here's 9 things or 9 indications or 9 signs that you are not relaxed for your race, for sprinting 400 meters or whatever race. Okay, and we've got to preface this by saying that these are the things that often go unnoticed by guys. We talk about relaxation a lot, we talk about this, but unless we understand where the tension comes from, and unless you can understand yourself and understand where the tension comes from yourself, then these things are going to slip through and make you tight for your race. And these are often things that go undiscovered and kind of just slip through the net, as it were, and they create tightness and just make sure that you have a substandard race. So we want to recognize these things so you can actually be as relaxed as possible. And these are the things that often impact athletes, as it were. Okay, so we're going through 1 to 9, and basically just prefaces saying that this is what we're allowing ourselves to be overcome by these things. That's what it is all about, and we're not actually recognizing it. So here's number 1. You're nervous before the race, and what I mean by that is you're nervous, you're not recognizing you're nervous, and you just don't feel good, and you're allowing nerves to overcome you in a negative way. Okay, once that happens, that really tightens you up, and you will, your stride length will be impacted, your power will be impacted, and you just won't feel good as you sprint. Number 2 is you're concerned about others in the race, and this may be the fact when you're not even the closest to the fastest in the race, and that's when it really affects athletes, because they'll look at that really fast guy on the outside, they'll look at that fast girl on the outside. You might be on paper the slowest time in the race. This is your challenge, and you can't be allowed those thoughts to come in. Okay, now you might be thinking, well, it's so easy for the fastest people in the race. It is easy for them because they don't have to be challenged, really. They know pretty much that they're the fastest in the race if they've actually seen the times. So they're not going to be challenged in that way, but make no mistake, they will be once. If they're the fastest in your race, they're going to go to the next step, whether it's a final, whether it's an international competition, and they will be challenged then. And more likely they will be challenged, unless there's someone like Sydney McLaughlin or Usain Bolt, but they will be challenged. So this is just not their race to be challenged with, but it's your race to be challenged. And if you're not the quickest in the race, athletes will think about those fast people on the outside. You can't allow that. You have to be fully focused on the now. And once you have to recognize yourself thinking about that and actually stop it. Okay, and you stop it by taking a few deep breaths, and you actually get in the now. Number 3 is the fear of fucking up. Now, you might have a race that you just, like the 400 meter hurdles, and you're concerned about your stride pattern. You might be concerned about in the 400 meters of not going out quick enough. You might be concerned about in the 100 meters not getting a good start and thinking, oh, I'm not a great starter. Now, these things are not going to help you. Again, these are things that are going to tighten you up, and actually you're attracting those negative aspects, and the more likely you think about them, the more likely those things are going to happen. So you can't really think about your stride pattern, your start, or anything like that. You've got to go in with thinking, eliminating those and getting the here and now and taking those few deep breaths. So that's number 3. Number 4 is thinking about tactics, and that's kind of linked up really with number 3. But again, you're thinking about how fast to go out. You're thinking about your stride pattern. You're thinking about, I've got to stay low at the blocks. That's not going to help you. When you're thinking, that's going to tighten you up. The more thinking you do just before the race, the likelihood it's not going to be positive, and it's going to be negative. And you've got to notice these tactics when you're thinking, you're not allowing yourself to run, and you need to be able to just allow yourself to run and just get in the here and now. Okay, so thinking about tactics is not really going to help you. You're not relaxed when that happens. Thinking about number 5 is thinking about what others think. I mean, this is a big thing, is what the crowd thinking. I'm in this race. What do my friends think? What do my parents think? What do the crowd think and about me being the slowest in the race? And when when you're worried about what others think, you're not relaxed. Okay, so one of the things is about racing is that you're in a competitive environment, so you need to be able to understand that you're outside your comfort zone, and these are all the things that are going to take you outside your comfort zone. So you understand what others think, and you can't be drawn in by what others think. It's really immaterial. Okay, it's not your concern what others think, and again, it's something you've got to recognize. And number 6 is you're embarrassed to be there. You have to think about that. Well, you're training to be there. You're training to have the opportunity to race fast. So why would you be embarrassed to be there? Now, a lot of athletes think that and just think, I don't want to be there. Well, you've been training for this. So this is your opportunity to put all that training into action. Take advantage of all that training. It's an opportunity to really, really capitalize on all that training. So you get the results and the rewards you earn. So you have to twist that on there. So embarrassed to be there. This may be because you're the slowest in the race. You might be concerned about the lack of training, or whatever the case is. You can't be allowing being embarrassed to be there to be one of those things that will tighten you up. Number 7 is putting pressure on yourself, and this is indicated when you start to use the language like I must do this. You feel I must do that, I must do this, I must run fast. When you say those words, I have to run fast or I must run fast, that will tighten you up. That's an indication of you putting pressure on yourself, and you can't do that. Change it to I will. Do you see there's an energy difference in that? And when you say I will, and you change the language round, then you actually getting into an answer of no doubt, of bringing a kind of a focus to the body. I must do this. I have to run fast. I've got to run fast. These are going to tighten your body. These are not healthy thinking. So that's putting pressure on yourself. Number 8 is allowing others to put pressure on yourself, whether that be a coach, whether that be parents. Now, these are big things, because I know I'm a coach. I know kind of pushy parents, and I've come across them before, and it upsets the athlete, upsets their daughter or their son, and it puts pressure on them. As an athlete yourself, you can't allow this to happen. Okay, you've got to recognize it and tell them to, in a polite manner, to F off or sod off, and tell them to stop. Whatever way you feel pressure on them, you've got to get them to stop. And this is your job as an athlete. You need to be able to tell your parents, tell the coach, stop. I'm not comfortable with you being here, telling me these things, putting pressure on me. I don't need it. Just stop. And it's you taking command of your situation, and you really have to have the cojones, the balls to do this, because if you allow them to put pressure on you, then you will be tightened up. You've got to be around people that are a positive effect on you, and helping you relax and giving you confidence. That's the kind of people you want to have. And the number 9 one is, and I've talked about this before, is the desperation to win. And that desperation it's been singled out so many times as I've seen it. And I made an indication of Justin Gatlin in, I think it was the 2015 World Championships. He was the favourite to win against Usain Bolt. And he noticed how he tightened up because he wanted to win against Bolt. And he was winning in that race, that 100-metre final. And he was winning. And he was towards. And then the last 20 metres, he saw that himself winning. And he started to tighten up. He started to overreach for the line. And Bolt came through and won it because he was confident and he had it in himself. And he was just solidly in a state of no doubt. I'm Usain Bolt. I'm not going to lose this. So that's an indication of desperate to win. When you're desperate to win, you may be allowing others in the race to actually be, not take advantage, but you're actually those other people having an impact on you during the race, the outside people, those fast guys. If they're having an impact on you, then you might be desperate to win. If you're getting pressure from the outside, you might be desperate to win, like maybe the pressure from the coach or the pressure from your parents. If you're putting pressure on yourself, you might be desperate to win. You can't be desperate to win. In the grand scheme of things, you've got to put yourself in a state of allowing whatever happens. Once you do that, you're free to run. And once you're actually in the here and now, and you're in the present moment, then you're free to run and be loose. Okay, you're not putting pressure on yourself. And once you're free to run, it doesn't mean you don't have a focus. But it means that you're actually, when you know you're going to run well and there's no doubt, that's relaxation, because you're giving the body a focus. So you've got to stop being desperate to win. Either know you're going to win, which is going to relax you, or just let it go. Put in a state of, I'm happy with whatever happens in this race. I'm going to go into the race to enjoy it. going to race into a positive frame of mind if you need to. As in my respect, you've got to be out of your mind completely. But being a kind of allowing whatever happens actually for me is a far better state than being desperate to win. And that is one of the things you've got to understand. So there's 9 things that are kind of slip between the net in terms of relaxation, in terms of identifying and being relaxed. These things are undercover things that you might not have thought of and thought, well, I actually do think about these things, and I'm trying to stay relaxed. And if you're trying to stay relaxed again, you're going to be tight again. But these are the things that slip through the net. So what do? You have to recognize these things. That's not actually feeling these things is not the bad thing. It's when you get drawn in by them, okay? And you're not transmuting it and actually changing it into energy, into power, into actually being energized by these things. When you feel these things before the race, you've got to recognize that you're supposed to feel these things. It's actually helping you, and turn it on its head. So when you're actually feeling these things, actually recognize them and say, these things are here to help me. I'm supposed to feel this way. And when you know that you understand that you're supposed to feel this way, then they become a positive for you. And this is what it's all about. It's not that you're stopping these things from happening. Actually stopping these things from happening is probably impossible. Okay? You've got to be able to recognize these things are happening, but not get drawn into it, separate yourself from them, because all these things are happening to you, but then they're not you. Okay, I think Eckhart Tolle is one of the great kind of teachers in the present day at the moment, and he recognizes these things are supposed to be happening to you, and you've got to recognize them happening to you and observe them and be comfortable with them. You get to a point when once you understand, not learn, but understand that these things are supposed to be happening to you. You're supposed to feel this way, and that you can actually observe it happening. Then you're not getting drawn in by it. And that's the one thing. And then you can do something with them. You can turn them into energy. You can turn them into excitement. Okay, so those 9 things that you might have slipped through the net in terms of and making you tight, and you might not have realised them, but there they are identified. And if you can just notice yourself, but do it in training. Do you feel the tension before a rep in training, and you've got the fast guys beside you, and your training colleagues, you're really quick? Do you feel that tension? Notice it, and then you can bring it into your racing. So there you are. Please like the video, please share if it's helpful and you feel it's helpful for others, and subscribe to my channel, because you won't feel or see any other information out there. Thanks for watching.